Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our accommodation at NTU Q&A. We're here today with some of our accommodation advisors to answer everything you might need to know about accommodation at NTU. This is ranging from the different types of accommodation to the accommodation booking process itself. So I'll kick it off with the introductions. Hannah, do you want to take it away?
Hi, my name's Hannah. I'm an accommodation advisor. I've worked at NTU for nearly 4 years and I graduated from NTU in 2011.
Hi, my name's Rebecca. I'm an accommodation assistant. I'm one of the newer members of the team. I've joined in September and I was previously a student at NTU.
Hi, I'm Daniela. I'm an accommodation advisor and I've been here for around a year now.
And have you graduated from NTU, Daniela, at all?
Unfortunately not.
We seem to have a lot of alumni in this chat, so I'll just introduce myself. My name's Katie and I'm part of the communications team here at NTU, and I am also an NTU alumni, graduated in 2019, so really looking forward to hearing about the information to give you guys today and be able to offer a bit of insight myself. So without further ado, we can kick off with the questions. So we'll pop the first one on the screen. Brilliant. So what is the price range for accommodation at NTU? So if anybody wants to jump in and answer that one, feel free.
I'll go with that one then, Katie. We've got a really good range of accommodation to suit all different budgets. The prices for the 22-23 academic year haven't been confirmed just yet, but they vary for usually just over £100 up to around £160, £170. So we've got something for everybody. If you keep checking the website, hopefully within the next few weeks, the prices will be available for you to have a look for the cost from September.
Brilliant. We do have the accommodation website. We can pop that across the screen now. That's ntu.ac.uk/accommodation. If you want to take a look on there, that's where the prices will be updated on that Hannah just mentioned. Rebecca and Danielle, did you want to say anything else about that?
No, just that it'll also be on the social media channels as well. So there's an Instagram and we have Twitter. So yeah.
Keep an eye out. Keep your eyes peeled for the prices for the next few years. So the prices for accommodation for 2022 entry, are they confirmed on the website? No, not yet. Well, sorry. Yeah. So they're still waiting to be updated. Fantastic. So we'll pop the next question on the screen. Brilliant. So what sort of facilities do the accommodations provide?
I'll jump in with this one. So all of our accommodation at NTU, you get your bed, your desk, wardrobe, that kind of thing, and a kitchen, which is usually shared with some other students that you live with, although we do have studio accommodation available for people who are looking to have a kitchen to themselves. Some of our halls of residence have got common rooms, so that's something to look out for if you think that'll be a great way to meet some new people. And there are also laundry facilities on site.
Brilliant. Hannah and Daniela, did you want to mention anything else about the accommodation facilities?
Yeah, just to add into that, obviously the bills were included, and also you get Wi-Fi at the halls as well, so you don't need to worry about the extra costs.
Amazing. Gotta have the Wi-Fi, essentially. What would we do without it? Did you have anything else, Hannah?
No, everything's been covered. Thanks, Kate.
Ticked all the boxes. Brilliant. So we'll move on to the next question. If we put that on the screen. So can you bring your car to university? So I'm guessing this refers to a bit more about the parking facilities at certain accommodations and things like that as well. So does anyone want to take this away?
Yeah, I can take that one. So some of our halls do offer car parking on site. Unfortunately, the city centre ones don't offer car parking, but obviously everything's really close. But if you are interested in car parking, then you can look on our website at which halls offer that. And to apply for that, if you decide to go with that hall of residence, then you can just contact the hall directly and they can manage that with you.
Brilliant. From my experience when I was at university, some accommodations didn't provide car parking, but there was certain car parks within Nottingham that allowed long-term stays. So if that was an option that you still want to stay at accommodation but still wanted to bring your car and needed it, you can have a look into a few options about the city centre of Nottingham. I don't know, Hannah, Rebecca, if you want to mention anything else about the cars?
Yeah, just that we have 2 halls on Clifton campus for undergraduate students, Peveril and Newhall. Newhall does not have car parking, so if you're on Clifton campus and you really want to bring a car, you'll need to book your accommodation in Peveril. And also at Brackenhurst, there is car parking, but it's reserved for students with special extenuating circumstances. So just bear that in mind when you're having a look at your accommodation.
I think I'd also add that Nottingham's got a really fantastic public transport network. So it's very easy to live here without a car. So if you've come from somewhere where things are a bit further away, perhaps, and you're worried about doing your shopping, going places on weekends, in Nottingham, it's really not an issue. We've got a lot of buses and a tram network. So you'll be fine without one.
Yeah, definitely. Even transporting myself between campuses. I lived at City campus and studied there, but then I danced and did my activities at Clifton, and it was actually quicker to get the bus than it was to drive because of like the great bus lanes, because sometimes the traffic was that bad. It was easier to get a bus. So 100%, like you say, Rebecca, it's amazing transport connections. You can walk from one side to another in city centre, definitely in under half an hour if you get your strides in. So yeah, I agree. I didn't have a car for my time at university. So we'll get on to the next question. So what kind of room options are there? So studio, shared flat, those things like that. I think this is, looking into the different options that we have. So if anyone wants to talk through a couple of the options that we have first.
Yeah, I can take that one. So we do have some studios available. We have studios at Gill Street and also at Newhall on the Clifton campus. Most of our rooms, though, are shared rooms where you have your own bedroom, but then you share a kitchen with other flatmates. So within your apartment, there's maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, up to around 10 people to share a kitchen together. Most of our halls have ensuite bathrooms as part of your bedroom, but some of our halls, Maltings and Meridian and also Hampden, they're shared bathrooms. So you'll be sharing a bathroom with some of the other people in your flat.
Fab. Thanks, Hannah. Do you two just want to mention anything else on the different room types? I think we've covered quite a few there.
I think that's pretty covered it. We do have the odd houses, so such as College Drive at Clifton, and Bramley Cottage at Brackenhurst. So they're more of like a shared house that we offer, but it's quite limited.
Yeah, so it's just kind of working out what's best for you as a student, what you prioritize in your living situation. There's something pretty much for everybody, isn't there? So yeah, it's great. Should we move on to the next question? Fab. So are you allowed to choose your flatmates? So yeah, the booking process, how does it work in terms of choosing your flatmates?
Our booking system is a live first come first served booking system. So that means that similar to when you book a theatre ticket or you book your seat on an aeroplane, you log into our booking system and you can see a floor plan of each hall. So you select the hall that you're interested in, the block, the floor, the flat, the room, and then you pick that room and that's yours. So yes, you can try and book with your friends, but to do that, we'd really recommend that you're both online or all of you are together online at the same time so that you can try and book into the same block and hopefully into the same flat. But just bear in mind that if you didn't manage to get into exactly the same flat as them, it might be a really good thing because then you can meet their flatmates and make friends with them and vice versa. They can meet your flatmates. So if you don't manage to live with the people who you already know from school, don't worry too much about it because you can still see them. And then it just widens your circle of friends at university, which can only be a good thing.
Definitely. 100%. I completely agree. I think one of the fun things is kind of finding, meeting your new flatmates for the first time and not knowing anybody, I think you really can help find yourself when you're with people that you're not 100% comfortable around, and it is one of the best experiences. So like you say, if you really want to live with someone, there is ways that you can go around it, but the accommodations are so close together, especially the ones in the city centre. You could be in Byron and Gill Street and touch each other, so you can go, it could be 30 seconds and you can be in each other's flats. So yeah, definitely that's what I would recommend as well from my time. Danielle and Rebecca, did you want to mention anything about that process?
I think we covered it.
Cleared everything off. Amazing, brilliant. So we'll head on to the next question. So are there alternatives to university accommodation? So university owned accommodation, is there any other alternatives to those options?
Yeah, absolutely. Not everyone feels that halls is right for them, and they want to have a look at what else is available. quite often in second and third year, students like to live in shared houses, sometimes with people they've met in first year. There is support available with that. The Students' Union are really great at helping you vet tenancy agreements before you sign them. So you're not just going to be abandoned to go and find your own house. We'd also recommend that you choose accommodation that's vetted by the National Code for Student Accommodation. So that's what we call ANAC accreditation. You can find all the places that are accredited in Nottingham at nationalcode.org/Nottingham. So if you're looking at private halls of residence, it's a great place to look to check that they're going to be a good choice for you.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. Did anybody else want to mention anything about the halls outside of accommodation? Yeah, so like Rebecca said, there is private halls outside of the university owned ones, but it's just really important to make sure that they're can you just repeat what the approval thing was again? Sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah, so that's ANAC accreditation, and you can find that at nationalcode.org/Nottingham. We'll bring up all the local places.
Oh, amazing. So you can just find it straight on that. That's fantastic. So yeah, if you are looking at something that isn't owned by the university, take a look on that website and you can find out a lot more about the accommodations that would work best for you. So we can move on to the next question. Pop that screen. So going on to more about the questions of the actual booking process and finding out, what might happen along the way. So if I don't get the grades I need, is the deposit refundable?
Yeah, I can take that one.
Yeah.
So in order to do a booking, it's a £200 deposit to reserve the room. And there will be a deadline for when you can cancel up to. If you cancel within the cancellation deadline, then the deposit's fully refundable. And similar as well at the end of tenancy, as long as there's no damages or anything like that. But obviously that will all be confirmed on the website with the cancellation policy.
Brilliant. Yeah, if you don't end up coming to the university, but you have got the accommodation booked, it's very simple to get your deposit refunded. So that's great for whatever the options may happen. Did you want to mention anything else, Hannah, Rebecca, before we move on?
Yeah, just that applies if you end up going through clearing, if you don't get the grades that you're expecting to come to NTU, but then also if you go through adjustment as well. So if you do better than you're expecting your A-levels and you go through the adjustment process to take a different course, then your deposit will still be refunded as well. Oh,
great. That's amazing. Brilliant. So I hope that answers the question. Whoever asked that, we put a question box up on our Instagram yesterday. So a lot of these questions have come from there. So yeah, really happy that we get to ask them to our advisors today. And hopefully the questions that someone may ask might answer someone else's question that's watching today. So brilliant. So the next question is, can I cancel an accommodation contract if I change my mind? So I'm guessing this could be about if they just wanted to live in a different accommodation, if they're still coming to NTU, if they decided they wanted to live from home and commute and things like that. So yeah, what's the options if people just change their mind?
We have a cancellation policy on our website. So for the current academic year, which is 2021-22, students could cancel up to 21 days before the start of their tenancy agreement. But if they waited until after that time, then they'd have to find a replacement in order to cancel the accommodation and not be held liable. So I'm expecting it to be something similar for next year. But again, just keep having a look at the website. It's ntu.ac.uk/accommodation, and all the information, including the cancellation policy, is listed on there.
Brilliant. Yeah, so people just keep an eye on that. And yeah, just be having a think before 21 days. Yeah, so it would, about 3 weeks before, which is great. So when does the booking system open? I'm sure that is a question on a lot of people's minds. If anyone wants to kick that off.
Yeah, it's going to open on the 30th of March. So from that day, you'll be able to log in and book your accommodation with us if you are a firm offer holder.
Brilliant.
Yep. And we just suggest before that time, just having a look at what options there are available and making a little short list because it is first come, first served. Obviously, you might not get your first preference. So it's good to have second and third preferences in the background so you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. From my experience, there will be a time as well, which it goes live. And it's really, really important to be quick with the accommodation booking. It's when it says first come, first serve, like these guys are saying, it's like a ticket to be there kind of when it opens and shortly after with your decisions, just so, like you say, you're not disappointed in a few days when you log on. It's very much a quick be there process. I don't know if you guys wanted to mention anything about the sort of timings of the day and when you'd sort of recommend people be there.
We haven't confirmed exactly what time we'll be going live on that day. What I can say is that we'll be in the office for it. So don't be waiting up at midnight to book your accommodation because we won't be in. It'll be at some point in the working day, probably in the morning.
I mean, yeah, people will be contacted about this for all the officers with the information, won't they? But if they keep checking on the website, they can find out more. But yeah, have your options there ready beforehand and be ready to book for whenever it opens if you know that's exactly where you want to be, just so you don't have any disappointment, and you can have your other options there as well, which is always really useful.
Yeah. Just to say as well, because we can only accept bookings from students who've made us their firm choice on UCAS. So unfortunately, if we're your insurance choice, you won't be able to book any accommodation. And also it takes 2 working days for your firm choice to come through to us from UCAS. So if you're wanting to book a specific accommodation when the accommodation booking system opens on the 30th of March, then you'll want to have made sure that you've made us your firm choice on UCAS at least 2 working days before that, preferably a bit more.
No, that's a really, really good thing to know. So if anybody, like you say, if you've got anything really particular in mind that you went where you want to be, just make sure that you've got your offer, you've got your firmed offer with us, and you can ready to go on the date. That's really, really good to know. Good to know for everybody watching in case people are unsure. So we can move on to the next question. So what is the booking deadline for international students?
So we don't have a set deadline for booking, and we haven't confirmed any guarantees for booking yet either. But for UK students, if we do have a guarantee, it'll most likely be in line with the UCAS deadline. But everything will go on the website, on our social channels when it's all confirmed. But specifically for international students, just know that there'll be a range of accommodation available, so you don't need to worry.
Brilliant. So another one, just keep an eye on the website and more information will come in due time. We can pop the accommodation address at the front of the screen. I love it when that happens. I feel like I'm on the news. You can take a look at the information. There's also the email address there. If you have any really specific questions and you just want to get a bit more advice, our team are more than happy to help and point you in the right direction and be able to offer that support. So fab, we shall book. We go on to the book. I've got booking accommodation in my head now. Should we get the next question on the screen? So fab, how soon should I book? So again, we covered that a little bit in the deadline question, but if you guys want to offer some advice on when you should be finalising your choices or for a range of students, feel free to jump in.
It really depends. Sorry, Rebecca, did you want to?
No. Go for it.
It depends. We do have a really wide range of accommodations. And while it might feel very important while you're looking at university that you get a specific hall, just bear in mind that whichever hall you do get a place in, you will have the same student experience there that you would have done in maybe your exactly preferred favourite hall. So don't rush because your course is really, really important and you need to think about the city that you want to be in as well. So Nottingham's a really fantastic city. Don't come here just because you think that one of our accommodations is really nice. Come here because you love the city, you love the course, you think it's going to help you in the future with your career path. So don't rush to book, but just bear in mind that some of them do sell out quickly.
Yeah,
definitely.
And just to add to that as well, don't be disheartened if you don't get the first choice that you were planning for. Because like Hannah said, it is very similar in all across the halls. But it's also just as important to look at things like, is the price suitable for what you'll get from your student finance? Is the flat sizes suitable for who you are as a type of person? Because we go from quite small flat sizes to really large ones, which obviously can be, quite lively. So definitely look around to see what's better suited to you rather than based on what other people may say you should go for.
100%. From my process, I didn't get my first accommodation and was distraught, absolutely distraught. I was bawling my eyes out. I was so upset. Like that's how dramatic I was at the time, thinking that this, that was it, and it wasn't anything like that. I went for an accommodation that I didn't, like I say, I only had my eyes set on one. I ended up a completely different one and literally had the best year because all of the accommodations get the same sort of welcome into the university, the sort of freshers experience. It doesn't necessarily matter which accommodation you're in, you are going to get this exactly the same as everybody else. So you don't need to worry about anything like that. I would say, from my advice, just kind of pick out exactly what Daniela said, what kind of flat type is more suited to you. Like, for you, if you will only have an ensuite and that's definitely your top priority, then just kind of keep an open mind to all the different accommodations that offer that. And the main things, like you say, is to consider is to flat size. If you are, like you say, if you want something that's with more people in it or less people in it, to have that list there, and then keep your options open, keep your mind open to any of sort of those accommodations. So it would just make your accommodation booking process nice and seamless and really, really enjoyable. And don't be upset if you don't get your first accommodation, because you are going to have the best 4 years of your life, because I'm still here. Wolves are still here. That's how much we enjoyed it. So I think we're going to move on to some questions from the comments now. If we're ready to go with them. Oh, brilliant. So we've got a question from Karen. Thank you very much for popping your comment in there. So, do you prioritise people with additional needs? So I'm guessing if this is like there's specific rooms or anything like that. If anyone has got an answer for this one, or if you want to have a little think first, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Daniela.
So generally, you'll go through the booking process the same like everyone else, going through to pick the rooms. But if you have disclosed that you have a disability, or if anything on the booking system tells us the student needs pausing and they need talking to, then it'll pause you in the booking process, and we will get in contact with you just to find out what the requirements are, if there's any adaptations that will be needed for the rooms, and then we'll basically go through, and we do usually have rooms that are specifically for accessible and adapted needs, so we'll help you directly with that.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Daniela. I don't know, Hannah and Rebecca, if you wanted to weigh in on that and say anything else.
Yeah, I'd also say that we're really committed to helping to support students who have either left care or who are estranged from their parents. And so if you're one of those students, then we'll prioritise you for accommodation, not just in first year, but in all your years of study. So if either you've let us know via your UCAS application, or you want to get in contact with us close to the time, do let us know, and we'll be able to offer that support for you.
Amazing. As I say, you can just the accommodation email is scanning across the bottom now. If you want to speak to the team about anything else like that, they'll be more than happy to offer some advice. So we'll head to the next question. Sorry, Hannah, did you want to say anything else?
No.
No, sorry. So we'll jump on to the next question. Brilliant. So Abby has asked, what is the security like? So
I would say it's fantastic. All of our halls have people on site 24 hours a day, every single day of the year, even Christmas Day. So there's always someone on site. There's the office staff and the residence manager during office hours, as well as maintenance and cleaning teams. And then outside of office hours, we have facilities officers who are staff members who work at the halls and keep an eye on everything. So if you have any problems, emergency maintenance, any kind of welfare need, or if you need to speak to someone, then there is absolutely always someone on your accommodation who can help you.
Yeah, definitely always there to help. Things like losing your keys on a night out, there's somebody there. You're never going to be locked out of your accommodation ever. Not speaking from experience, obviously, I definitely never did that. But the security teams across all the accommodations are amazing, really, really helpful. Did either of you two want to mention anything on that before we move on to the next question? No. Fab. So we'll pop the next one on the screen. Fab. So thank you, all of us, for popping this question on. Are we able to view the different halls and sites? So when can we view the accommodations?
Yeah, absolutely. You can come and have a look at our halls by coming along to one of our open days. I believe there's one at the end of this month. So if you go onto the NTU website, you'll be able to book into an open day to come and visit us and view the halls then.
Yeah, definitely. So Saturday 26th of Feb is the next offer holder day, and then there's 2 more after that, so that you'll be able to come along and, like you say, get a real feel of look around the accommodations across all the campuses.
There's loads of information on the website as well, and if you check the social media, then our team have done some really excellent work on things like videos and pictures of the halls. So there's loads of information online if you don't manage to see all of them when you come and have a look around the university.
Brilliant. And what's the handles for the Instagram and the Twitter, if you don't mind me asking, Danielle, if you've got it to hand?
Rebecca, have you got them off the top of your head?
So I know the Instagram is at NTU Accommodation. We're NTU Student Accommodation on Facebook. And I cannot remember our Twitter handle.
It's all right.
If you search for NTU Accommodation, you'll find us.
2 out of the 3 is that's great. It's good to know. But yeah, it's also a great way, like you say, to see all the accommodation information and images and things like that. So yeah, that's fantastic. Sounds like a really great way for people to get in contact.
Yeah, there is the odds live tour already on there as well, just from previous open days that we've done. So it just gives you a little snippet of what it's like.
Yeah, brilliant. Fab. So we'll move on to the next question. Right, Fab, thanks for your comment, Charlie. So what is the move-in date? Is there a specific time slots, etc., on the day? So how does move-in day work? I know obviously it's been a little bit different over the past few years and changes. So whatever we know about the next one, or if you want to just mention on things that's happened before.
Yeah. So for our standard 44-week contracts, the contract starts on the 16th of September. And then for our standard 51-week contracts, if you need a longer tenancy, they start on the 10th of September. And in previous years, when they've done all the move-in, obviously because they've had to be aware of social distancing, they've generally sent round a link for students to choose a check-in slot. So that they have like a few hours to get everything moved out of their cars with their parents into their rooms, get all settled, and then just have to make sure that the car's off the premises, but mum and dad could come back and check they're all okay.
Just need to get the convoy off, get the things moved in. It's always really useful that our freshers teams are there to help as well when people are moving in to help that process along, because I know some people come with cars, you can always tell it's like moving weekend when you're driving down the motorway, because you can literally see like everything like piled up on the top window, like there's everything's in every little place. So our freshers teams are there to help as well for the move-in date. Hannah, Rebecca, I don't know if you wanted to mention anything else.
No, so it covered everything.
Covered that off. So yeah, fab. So it just depends what kind of contract you have. So we'll move on to the next question. Fab. So thank you, Abby, for your question. So if you are deferring entry, when do you apply for accommodation?
So you would apply for accommodation in the springtime before you're starting. So if you're deferring until September 2023, then you wouldn't be able to book your accommodation until around March. It will probably still be March, but obviously you'd need to come back to us for the specific date. But you wouldn't be able to apply for accommodation this year if you weren't starting until September next year. You can only apply within the same year.
Brilliant. Fab. So should we move on to the next question? Seems like a quick answer one. Fab. So thanks for your comment, Joel. Oh, do you know what? This would be my priority question as well. Is there any accommodations with pets or support animals allowed? So does anyone want to jump in with that one?
We don't allow pets, unfortunately, in accommodation. Accommodation isn't necessarily the nicest place for a cat or a dog or a hamster or a gecko to live. It can be a bit noisy and it would possibly be a bit distressing. So registered assistance animals like guide dogs or hearing dogs, they would be allowed to come and live in the accommodation. And in terms of support animals, it's looked at on a case-by-case basis, but the animal would have to be accredited with certain bodies that we look for accreditation with. So unfortunately, you couldn't just bring your pet with you, which is very sad.
I know, but it's like you say, there's it's not really the right place to have it, like you say, a dog in a block of flats, but you can always see them when you are at home.
Yeah, and if you're on the Brackenhurst campus, then there's loads of animals at Brackenhurst already. There's a whole animal centre that you can go and look around. It's amazing. Yeah,
you can get your cuddle fix when you're at home. So fab. We'll move on to the next question. Fab. So what do the different lengths of contracts mean? So what you mentioned earlier, Daniela, about the move-in dates and things like that. So how do they differ, and what do they kind of represent?
So, for instance, the 44-week contract, that's sort of our standard contracts that mainly undergraduate students will use. So that will run from September till July the next year. Whereas the 51-week contracts, it's obviously typically a whole year. So we tend to have a lot of mature students, a lot of postgraduate students use these ones, as you tend to find postgraduate studies are a lot longer. So yeah, it's just finding which length fits you and what course you're doing.
Brilliant. Yeah, so just something else that you can take a look on the website when you come to book. But yeah, just taking a look at, like you say, all them different reasons that Daniela just mentioned. So do you guys want to mention anything else about the contract?
Just that because our halls are all self-catered, they're not catered accommodations, then once you've moved into the hall or into your bedroom, it's yours for the entire contract period. So if you're in a catered hall at a different university, you might be asked to move out your things for Christmas, Easter, if they're doing things like conferences and they need your bedroom for it. But if you take a 44-week contract with us, then the room will be yours, like Danny said, all the way from September till July the next year, and you don't have to move out in between. Even if you're going home for Christmas or Easter, you can keep stuff there.
Yeah, very, very useful. Very useful. It's always surprising how much you accumulate in those rooms over the year. Yeah, it's very, very strange how you can move in with so much, and then when it comes to move out, it's you need double the loads because you're just in there all year. So fab. We've got a few more questions left. So we'll pop the next one on the screen and have a chat about them, see how we can answer them as a team. So thank you, Abigail, for your question. So we've got some clearing questions. So what accommodation is usually available for those applying through clearing? Anyone wants to take a go at answering that one?
Yeah, I mean, it will be a mix of accommodation available when it comes to clearing. We'll have students who've previously booked and then for whatever reason, maybe not got the grades or decided not to come to NTU. So, spaces will free up for clearing students. It is first come, first served again. So if that does apply to you and you come to us through clearing, then you'll be able to check the website close to the time for exactly the process of how booking is going to happen, and get in contact with us on results day to see what we can offer you.
Definitely. So just like a widespread of whatever has become available when and whatever other option people have decided not to join us. Hannah and Daniela, did you want to mention anything about that?
No, Rebecca's covered everything.
Brilliant. So we'll move on to we've got two more questions left. So we'll move on to this one. Brilliant. So the next question says, how many options can you select when booking? So, for example, you've got another one if you don't get your first. So, yeah, I think maybe just having a bit more explanation about what the booking process will actually be like. Will you go all the way through with one? Will you have things sort of in your basket? How that kind of work?
Yeah. So like Hannah said earlier, it's very much similar to booking a concert ticket. So when you go into the system, it will show you a floor plan for each of the residents, and you specifically choose the room that you want. Once you go into a room, obviously, if you don't proceed through to the paying the deposit, then after 48 hours, you'll automatically get taken out of that room. Which is what's happened in previous years, but obviously we'll just double check and confirm. But otherwise, you should be able to just come out of that room and select a different room if that's not the one you're wanting to go with.
Fab. Anyone else want to mention anything about that?
No, just like Danny says, that it's first come, first served. So you don't need to think about any backups. You just need to think about having a short list of halls that you'd be happy to live in. So you can have that ready in case your first and second or even third choice are already sold out by the time you have a look.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. So we'll move on to the final question, I believe, unless we have any more pop in. So how do you log into the booking system? So what will you need? Where we'll be able to find the information? All the different parts of it, really. If anyone wants to jump in.
It's an online booking system. There is a page on our website which gives you instructions on how to use the booking system. So you'll get sent a NTU ID number, which is the letter N followed by 7 digits. Each student has their own individual NTU ID number. So you'd be given that through the admissions team when you're applying. When you've made a firm choice, 2 working days after that, you'll be able to create a password and log into our online booking system to make your booking. So it's all done online, no paper records or anything, no forms that you need to fill in. But you do just need to make sure that we're your firm choice on UCAS 2 working days before you want to log into the system.
Yeah, that's a massive thing to focus on, it just making sure that you've got that offer on there and you have your NTU ID sent through to you, then you'll be able to proceed with it. Daniela and Rebecca, did you want to mention anything else about logging on, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, when the bookings go live, generally there's a very big book now button on the very front page of the accommodation website. So it's very, very easy to navigate. And if for any reason you have any issues with like passwords for logging in or anything like that, there is obviously my NTU support. It has their email and their phone number on the booking system as well. So you can contact them if you have any issues logging in.
Fab. So will they have, sorry, just to confirm, will the students have a chance to log in before the booking goes live? And then it will be a book now system, or will it just be all in one?
You could create a password before you're ready to log in, but the booking system will be closed until it opens on the 30th of March. So you can't go in and like have a poke around or anything, but
No, okay,
you can make sure that your password's ready to go so that you can log in.
You can have like your password ready and things like that, and just making sure that you're kind of all set for the actual booking start time. So we have had one more question just pop through, so we can answer that one and then we will wrap up the live. So we'll pop that one on the screen. Okay, so thanks for the question, Hannah. If we don't get the room we want, will we be automatically allocated another room, or can we choose another one? So what will happen if they click on the room and, well, they can't, unless they just mean we want us in before they've even clicked on it?
So because it's live, like Danny said, when you book a theatre ticket or a cinema ticket, or you book your seat on an aeroplane, you see the floor plan. So there might be a case where as you click on a room, another student's clicked on it just microseconds before you have, and they get that room just before you. But then you wouldn't be able to proceed any further. So you just back out, look at the floor plan again and pick a different one yourself. So it's completely up to you to pick the room. We don't intervene with that unless there are special circumstances, like you need an adaptation for a visual or a hearing impairment or a mobility issue. It is completely up to you to choose it. So if you look at one hall and it's sold out, you move to the next one, you move to the next one, you move to the next one. So it's all up to you.
Yeah, so it's a bit, like you say, it's a very reactive service. So if you're on there and you can click it, then head through to the checkout. I think that's the only word to describe it. Head to checkout. So I don't know if anybody had anything else they wanted to mention about the accommodation that we haven't mentioned.
Just to add to it, once you make a booking and you've paid a deposit, you'll get sent a link to join the Facebook groups. So this is where you'll join the Facebook group for your specific hall that you've chosen, and it means that you can start to interact with your flatmates that are there. Because some people might feel a bit disheartened if they haven't got their first preference, but then actually they start talking to the flatmates and get on really well. So it's just a little note that you'll get sent that as well.
Yeah, that's always a really nice touch to be able to meet the people before you move in. Start building up the excitement. Start getting ready to come to NTU. Did anybody else have anything else to mention before we wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would sort of take one last opportunity to plug our social media. So you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. On Instagram, we're at NTU Accommodation. On Twitter, we're at NTU Student Accom. And we're NTU Student Accommodation on Facebook. We'll be putting lots of material out there over the next few weeks, showing you the different halls we've got available to help you make that decision about which residence is going to be right for you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for that, Rebecca. So on that note, I'd just like to take a minute to thank you guys so much for being here to answer our prospective students' questions today. I know we've covered across so many different things, from the process to different options available. And I know I've even learned some things, so it's been very, very useful for the people watching. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here today. And yeah, thank you to everybody who's tuned in. thanks for the questions that you asked. They were really, really useful for everybody else as well. If we haven't got round to answering your questions in the comments, you can go to the banner at the bottom of the screen. So the accommodation NTU.ac.uk. You can go to the website as well, or you can head to the accommodation social media channels to ask any questions that you might have, or if you just want to talk through your situation a little bit more, our friendly advisor will be absolutely happy to help. So yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us today, and we will see you next time. See you later.
Thank you.